Welcome to another episode of the Count Macula Show. I am Count Macula. Today's episode, I'm going to do a movie review on The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This movie is starring James Franco from Pineapple Express. It also stars Frida Pinto from Slumdog Millionaire. This movie is a prequel to the 1970s film Planet of the Apes. And with prequels, you have to be very careful because most prequels are just not good. Prequels usually suck. And I'll give you a few examples. You have Friday the 13th, which is a prequel of the horror film, Jason Voorhees. And the reason why the prequels sucked is because they didn't bridge the prequel to the original. If you're going to do a prequel, my thing is, why don't you bridge the two? It should be a bridge. The story should be bridging the story of the origin of the character or characters to the original. And all the prequel to Friday the 13th did was pretty much nothing. You had the prequel to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which also did nothing. There was no origin story that was strong. There was also a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, once again, the same problem that they don't bridge the original with something that happened before. You just get a little tidbit of something that happened before, and then it just jumps right into the movie again. This one actually has a different problem. It goes way too far back to when the apes and the chimps in the movie were just normal. And it goes so far back that by the end of the movie it never reaches close enough to bridge the gap between the original and the prequel. So in the movie, I'm not going to give too much away, but by the end of the movie you're still too far away from the original movie. So you would have to make a second prequel to bridge that gap. Alright, you got to the point where you see the monkeys kind of get a little bit more advanced, but not advanced enough to see how did they get to the point in the original Planet of the Apes where they're that far advanced, when they're their own society and there's no human beings. I mean, the movie never gets to that point, so it was kind of disappointing because you just felt like, alright, there's at least way more to this story than this movie covers, and they tried at the very end. Once again, I'm not going to give too much away, but at the very end they try to wrap that up quickly, the bridge between the prequel and the original, but it's too late. You can't wrap something up like that in 2 minutes. They do it at the very end, at the final credits, where they try to wrap up the story. But like I said, you would have to need a second Rise of the Planet of the Apes to bridge the gap. So that alone makes this movie not what it's cracked up to be. I'll give it a mild recommendation, meaning you'll be sort of entertained. There sort of has its moments, but at the end of the day, it has a prequel curse. It just doesn't lock into what the original movie is, and a lot of the acting is much to be desired. It's not that great. So that was my review of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. If you want to go see a true prequel, this is not it. This is just one little piece of a bigger picture of a story that they left out the biggest piece, which is how do they get from the primitive to being a society of advanced creatures. It never goes there, so you'll leave with much to be desired. So take your chance on Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It was decent, but don't go in expecting too much. This has been another episode of Count Macula, a movie review, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.